Well, very good. Well, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you all for letting me present, and I will be thanking you again shortly for another reason. Uh, but especially thank you, Calvin, for that phenomenal discussion about collateralized debt obligations. It actually ties in very well with my speech, oddly enough. So, this is where it starts getting interesting. I started working at Citigroup uh, in December of 2007. And it was a great company. It was really exciting. I was super excited to be working at Citi. I remember the first meeting I had, a town hall meeting with Gary Crittenden, who was the CFO of Citi at the time. And Gary was a great guy. He comes in and he says, he's very honest, and he says, hey, you may have heard about these things called, you know, subprime mortgages. Don't worry, Citi doesn't make subprime mortgages. We only make prime mortgages, and we're going to be great. And what we learned later was that Citi did a lot of packaging of mortgages, of collateralized debt mortgages, like Calvin was talking about, and that's what almost destroyed the company. And now I'd just like to thank all of you who were taxpayers in 2007 for bailing out Citibank. It was really something that meant a lot to me because I got to keep my job. So I just wanted to make sure that I thanked all of you for that. So it was really difficult for the next few years at Citi. We had a new CEO of the credit card business, which was the business that I was in, every year for the next 3 years. And what I learned from my boss, Whitney, was that it was about communicating to each of these new CEOs of the credit card business what we did and how we could provide value. So we started off as a strategy group, and then we became a marketing strategy group, and then we became a new product development group, depending on what people needed us to do. It was the same team, but we just communicated our value proposition a little bit differently. And then I was learning from Whitney how to communicate individually to different types of people. And one week I had 2 different presentations to give to senior executives. The first was to Paula, and I went in and I was really excited about presenting to Paula. I went in and I talked about how to transform the business. I talked about all this different stuff we were going to be able to do. It was great. And Paula just kept nodding and she was really interested. And I still remember Paula nodding and how cool it was. And we left and Paula had me on a big chair, kind of leaving the room. I mean, she didn't, but it kind of felt like she did. It felt like it was a great meeting. And I was so excited. And I knew how to communicate with senior executives. It was great. And then I had my meeting with Nancy. And Nancy, she same presentation, same kind of ideas about transforming the business, all these great things. And Nancy just sort of looked at me, and Nancy was just sort of, that look you get from people sometimes where there's just, And she was really interesting. She was paying attention. She wanted to get value from what I was saying, but it just wasn't resonating. And I left and I said to Whitney, what's going on? I gave such a great speech. It was so exciting. Paula was so excited. What happened with Nancy? She said, look, Nancy doesn't care about the same sorts of things. Nancy just wants to know about results. Nancy just wants to make things happen. And it's just, you got to tailor your message differently. So a few years later, I was at a leadership training, and they told us there's different ways of motivating people. And they told us to each go to a different corner based on what motivated us and how we like to be communicated to do things. So the first was the visionaries and the inspiring people. And that was me. It was spot on. I was really excited about this. That's what I thought everybody would be interested in. There were some of us, but not as many as I was hoping for. Then there were the people who really just wanted to get stuff done. This was what Nancy was interested in. Then there were the third type was people who got things done through relationships. It was all about, I do a favor for you, you do a favor for me. And finally, which I guess I should have expected, the thing that really motivated most people and the best way to communicate getting somebody to do something at work is giving them money and giving them a title. So I learned this. And it was really interesting to me to see these people dispersing into other parts of the world. The people who were talking to me, we were good. We were just saying everybody should be a visionary. We don't understand these other people. And I'm sure everybody else in those other places was as well. When I went back to work, I started talking with my friend Rahul. And Rahul said, Kathy, who works for me, is a phenomenal employee. She does great work. I really want to work to get her promoted. I've given her such a great bonus. I just don't feel like she's motivated that much. And then I was talking to Kathy, who's also my friend, just separately, and she said, Rahul's a good guy. I feel like I'm doing good work, but I just don't feel like he appreciates me. I want to get promoted, and I just want to do more interesting work. So I went back to my desk, and I said, they both talked about Kathy getting promoted and how good of work Kathy does. And I thought about what to do, and I just kind of went to both of them separately, and I said, he thinks you're doing great work, and I went to Rahul and said, she really likes working for you. It's just that she doesn't care as much about getting the bonus. That's not what kind of floats her boat. And so they both realize that Kathy does great work. They both want Kathy to be promoted, and they both live happily ever after, at least as far as this story goes. So I spent so much of my career thinking about the audience and thinking about how to best get a message across. And I think it sums up as the platinum rule. So you probably all know about the golden rule. The golden rule is treat other people the way you would want to be treated. The problem with that is that people want to be treated differently, and people want to be treated in different ways. And the way that I would want to receive a presentation may be different than what you want. So the platinum rule is treat people the way they want to be treated. So when you give a speech, just think about the fact that it's so easy and lovely and inspiring to give the speech you want to give to people, and everything will be great, and you'll feel at the end like Free Willy jumping out of the ocean, and it's going to be just awesome. But if you really want to make an impact, think about what the other people in the room want. Because in order to be able to have the greatest impact and to really change people's hearts and minds, you have to think about what they want the most. So thank you all very much. Thank you again, Calvin, for that wonderful speech on CDOs, so people now know why Citibank almost collapsed. And back to you, Madam Toastmaster.